on this. Divorce. Money. Mortgage. Maybe not some of your first thoughts when the decision to end a marriage is final and the divorce process begins, but the topic will arise, and it will arise swiftly, and it is best to be prepared. You will find out why with my very first guest to sip on this. If this is your first time joining me, then welcome. I'm your host, Deirdre Haggerty. I'm a certified career coach and founder of Coaching with Ms. D, which offers career coaching and life coaching services to align your career with your values and your vision of life. I am so thrilled you're joining me today for a conversation over coffee. For me, it's water, where we will discuss life, careers, relationships, and the little things that shape who we are. I will not lecture you or tell you what to do. It's just the two of us chatting in my cute little coffee shop behind us, chatting about topics that make us laugh, drive us nuts, or can totally rip us to shreds, which is the topic we are discussing today: divorce and money and mortgage. Today, it will, however, be the three of us. Now, as a career coach, many of my clients are divorced women who come to me once the divorce is finalized. Maybe they're looking to pivot careers because of the divorce settlement. They have to earn more money, or they're looking to advance their careers as their life and their finances are now in flux. It's a challenging and emotional time, even if the split is amicable. My guest today is Stacey Ellison. She's the owner of Divorce Mortgage Solutions in Middletown, New Jersey. She is a certified divorce lending professional and divorce mortgage planner with a deep understanding of the financial complexities that arise during and after divorce, all of which you will learn during our conversation. She has over 30 years of experience in the mortgage industry. She brings a unique blend of technical knowledge and truly compassionate guidance to individuals navigating one of life's most challenging transitions. Since earning her CDLP designation in 2020, Stacey has worked closely with family law attorneys, mediators, financial planners, and other divorce professionals to provide strategic mortgage guidance tailored to each client's need. Her role is to ensure that both parties in the divorce understand their options when it comes to home equity, mortgage qualification, and long-term housing goals. Whether helping a client determine if they can keep the marital home, qualify for a new mortgage, or explore equitable buyout solutions, Stacey provides clarity, structure, and confidence in the decision-making process. Her goal is to help divorcing homeowners make sound financial choices that support both their immediate needs and long-term stability. She recently launched the Divorce Strategy Hub, an app providing smart real estate and mortgage solutions for individuals navigating divorce. I first met Stacey at an Atlantic Highlands Chamber of Commerce Women in Business networking meeting. Then I met her again at an NADP, the National Association of Divorce Professionals, Monmouth County chapter, networking breakfast. Monthly, we meet. So please help me welcome my very first guest and friend, Stacey Ellison. Hello, Stacey. Welcome to Sip on This, and thank you for being here. I truly wanted you with me today because as someone whose eyes literally glaze over when discussing money, your explanations of your business during our Women in Business and NADP meetings have really been fascinating. And they also display your compassion and your knowledge about the process and confidence in your procedures. And I'm honored to recommend you.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you so much for having me here. I am so honored to be your guest today. And I am excited to share a little bit more about what I do with you and your podcast.
Yeah. This is great. Especially my goal is that we could reach some people who are going through this and try to navigate them in the right direction, offer them some free advice as they're going through unbelievably difficult times. So I'm just gonna just jump right in. First question: what inspired you to get involved in divorce mortgage planning?
Well, I've been in the mortgage business for over 30 years. I've been a processor, I've been a loan originator, I've been an account exec, the whole 9 yards. And I've been a certified divorce lending professional since 2020. It was after having several clients within a short time frame who all were divorced and came to me with their settlement agreement in hand saying, I need to refinance. I have 30 days to take my ex-spouse off the mortgage. Here's my settlement agreement. And for various reasons, each one had an issue. Challenges where they couldn't qualify or we had difficulty qualifying because of the terms or the language in the settlement agreement conflicted with mortgage guidelines. And that got me thinking and researching and being like, why isn't this working? Why is it that divorce guidelines change when a mortgage guidelines change when a divorce is present? And the more I dug, the more questions I had. And I came across the Divorce Lending Association, which is where I got my certification. And I was just like, oh my gosh, there is such a huge need for this because it's not the same process as when they bought the house. Guidelines change because of the divorce, how alimony or child support is structured, how long you've been on title. There's a million different reasons that can come up during the process to kind of throw you off track. And to be able to help people through this process, it's very interesting to me. It's like a puzzle, and I love putting puzzles together. So that's how I kind of ended up here.
That's amazing. I honestly couldn't even imagine, and I really don't understand. And that's kind of that's a perfect segue for my next question because I don't understand. It's my second house that I'm in. We've gone through just a mortgage broker to get our mortgage, and so I haven't had to go through this process, and I can imagine it's such an emotional one as you're dealing with this. Then to learn, well, you don't qualify or this doesn't happen for this reason. It's just like another, like just throw some more hot water on me.
Right.
Dealing with all of this.
Of course, it's a very difficult and emotional process going through a divorce. And you add the complexities of doing an equity buyout or buying a new home and trying to move forward and find your happily ever after and then have all these issues. It could be extremely disheartening and frustrating. And that's why I like to get involved and help at least that piece of the puzzle fit within the bigger setting of their goals for the settlement agreement, their goals for their housing, their long-term financial goals.
So, for the person listening who's maybe thinking about divorce or in the process, what is the difference between a certified divorce lending professional and, the mortgage broker who helped me and my husband purchase our home?
That's a great question, and it really is a super important one. I am a traditional loan officer. That's the majority of my 30 years in the industry. And any loan officer, mortgage broker can help you buy a house, can help you refinance a house, but they can only help once the divorce is settled, right? And you have the settlement agreement, and then you got to try to fit it all within the box of underwriting guidelines. As a certified divorce lending professional, I have specialized training in areas of family law, real estate, and of course mortgage guidelines, and estate planning and all of that, specifically how it pertains to divorce. I'm a housing strategist, who helps divorcing homeowners not only meet their immediate needs and wants of either keeping the house or buying a new one, but also making sure that it's going to be sustainable long term and fit into their long term financial goals. So I can help, I can work with the divorce team to make sure that the housing piece has a very high probability of being able to be enforced and implemented post divorce, as opposed to getting it all after the divorce is finalized and having to work with whatever it is that is there. Does that make sense?
It does. It's I think how I know this isn't part of some of the questions that I gave you, but you know, how does the divorcing couple, obviously they're dealing with so much. I mean, how is it, and or maybe this does lead into the next question, then what advice do you have for the divorcing couple so that they don't have to navigate through such high weeds?
Work with the certified divorce lending professional, because
Yeah.
that's what I do every day. You know, looking at their income, their assets, their credit, the liabilities, long-term goals, monthly budget, and taking it out from taking it from an emotional place to a numbers place, right? Because when people make decisions from an emotional place, they it's not necessarily the best. Like, I understand I want to keep the house. It gives security to my kids. I've, raised my family here, whatever it is. But if you can't qualify for the loan, or it doesn't work into your long-term financial plan, then you're going to end up selling the house and being miserable at that point anyway. Right? So by looking at the numbers and working from the numbers aren't emotional, and the numbers are what they are. Now we can tweak the numbers, especially if the divorce isn't finalized yet. I can work with the divorce team and be like, okay, here are some different scenarios. Here's the amount of income you need for this one. Here's the amount of income you need for that one. Here's the amount of income for this. And by working with the divorce team to structure the settlement around those financial needs and those numbers, it will ensure that those goals can be met once the divorce is finalized.
That's some task you have there, trying to like, when you explain it, it is, I mean, yeah, when you start talking about numbers, people's eyes, if they're not numbers people, they will glaze over, right? And now, like, you add that extra component of the emotion, like you just said, and then they're just kind of dealing with all of that. I know you're not personally indebted to what's happening, but what strategies do you use to kind of make them understand that this is the best way for you to do this,
Well,
or the optimal way?
I'm never going to tell someone this is what you have to do.
Right.
I will give them options.
Okay.
And look at all of the possibilities and say, here are the choices. Talk to the financial planner. What's their recommendation? How much are you comfortable spending? What are you going to qualify? It's not unsimilar to a first-time home buyer or anybody buying a house, where it's got to always come back to your monthly budget. What can you afford and what can you get qualified for? I mean, you can't buy $1 million house if you want your mortgage payment to be $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes it's readjusting expectations, and sometimes it's discovering new possibilities, and to try to help divorcing homeowners make clear and decisions from a logical place instead of an emotional place will help with the whole process, hopefully.
Yeah. So then what advice do you have for newly married couples? You know, they're getting married. They're not looking at, oh, well, my relationship may end in 10 years. What advice do you have for newly married couples interested in buying a home?
Do it. But it's a difficult housing market out there. There's not much out there. There's limited inventory, and the rates are higher than they were, a couple of years ago. But if you don't do it now, it's just going to keep getting more expensive. And it's important to work with someone who's going to bring it back to, what is your monthly budget? What are you comfortable spending? How is this going to impact the rest of your budget and the lifestyle? How old are your kids? Do you have kids? What kind of expenses do you have? No one wants to be house poor. So you got to make sure that that it all works with the monthly budget and what they can afford. But you got to surround yourself with a good team. You need a lender you can trust, a realtor that you trust, an attorney that you trust. We're all here to help guide you and get them into their first home. I love working with first-time home buyers. They're fun. It's an exciting time and a big accomplishment, and it's a privilege to help people get there.
Oh, I love that. For somebody who might not know what this means, what does house poor mean?
House poor means you've got this big, beautiful house, but maybe you don't have money for furniture. So you're sitting on milk crates, or you can't afford to go out to dinner, or, you have to cut back in other areas because your mortgage payment is such a huge portion of your income that you don't have money for other things.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you are a slave to paying your mortgage and nothing else. Yeah, I get it. I found this interesting because of just what we do as far as our networking group, the NADP. And I just started to look this up. So I saw that statistics show the median age of first-time divorce is 42 and a half for men and about 40 for women, although many divorce in their early 30s. However, for this podcast, which focuses on the majority of people midlife in their 50s, life and careers for the over 50 set, I read that there is a new phenomenon called gray divorce with baby boomer rates. Now, we would be considered Gen X, but yes, baby boomer rates tripling since 1990. I thought this was fascinating for those 65 and older. So what have you noticed in these numbers, and what mortgage or divorce planning advice would you offer those going through a gray divorce?
So I've definitely noticed more divorces happening in that 50 plus age range. And these divorces are much different from the people getting divorced in their 30s and 40s for a lot of reasons. Number one, the kids are usually grown and out of the house, so there's no co-parenting or custody or child support issues. Two, they usually have a lot of equity in their home. They've been there for a long time, 20 plus years. With the appreciation we've seen in the market, we all know, the equity position that has, or they have multiple properties that all need to be divided. They have lots of assets, usually 401ks, IRAs, just accumulation of a lifetime worth of working hard and saving. And sometimes there's a lump sum payment instead of alimony, and that could be an issue for qualifying for a mortgage. And many times I see it's the wife or the non-financial spouse that wants to keep the home for emotional reasons. The family was raised there, the memories, etc. But she may not have worked for 20 years. So how are you going to qualify if you don't have a history of income, or you're getting a lump sum instead of monthly alimony? And those are challenges when it comes to qualifying for an equity buyout or the purchase of the new home. Now, the good news is I have lots of strategies on how to structure that and how to make sure that whoever wants to qualify for a mortgage can, once everything is said and done, if the settlement agreement is prepared properly in a way that's going to align with underwriting guidelines.
So you would be part of that process then?
Yeah, I work with not only the divorcing homeowners, but also the attorneys and mediators, financial planners, just to make sure that everything surrounding the house is addressed properly in the settlement agreement. So there's no surprises, there's no hiccups, because everybody's working so hard to come up with the agreement. You want to make sure that it's executable, that you can get approved, and that everybody, the vacating spouse is going to want their equity out of the home, and if the retaining spouse can't qualify for the mortgage, that's just going to create additional conflict and issues and back to court and attorneys afterwards. So get me involved early and let me help structure this and strategize and make sure that the process is smooth once the divorce is final.
That makes sense, and it's such valuable advice. Like, I truly hope, if anybody's listening, if you know somebody who's going through a divorce, if you know somebody who's older and going through a divorce, please send them this episode. Stacey's links will be in the show notes, including her new app, the Divorce Strategy Hub, which I recently downloaded. I'm knocking some wood. I don't need it, although he may be on the out soon. I don't know.
But what did you think about it?
I thought it was really well put together and very easy to navigate. I think a lot of times with especially if you're gonna, this is one of my Mythbusters on my podcast I just posted, over 50 Mythbusters, that those of us over 50 don't know how to use technology. Not true.
Oh, of course we do.
Of course we do. I'm the tech whiz in my house, so I had to jump on and help fix that mistake from before. Anyway, so tell us a little bit about the app before we say goodbye and how it helps in your work.
Sure. So it's called just Divorce Strategy Hub, and it's provided by the Divorce Lending Association, which is the organization that I got my certification through. And you can look at divorcelendingassociation.com. They've got all their stuff there. It's available on the App Store and Google Play, and it offers divorcing homeowners tools and resources that are needed to make smart, informed choices regarding the marital home. It provides divorce professionals with insight to understand divorce mortgage planning, settlement strategies, and how to protect clients' long-term financial stability. It's really an amazing resource for anybody who's going through a divorce when there's a home involved, or a divorce professional who's working with people going through a divorce when there's a home involved. So check it out. It's very cool.
Yeah, definitely another tool in the toolbox to help in a trying time. Whatever can help. Stacey, do you have anything else you would like to say before we say goodbye?
Well, thank you again. I so appreciate it. I love chatting with you. I'm just sipping on water. But.
Yeah, me too. It'll be something else in a little bit for sure. It's fine.
But no, if you're posting all my contact information, anyone that has any questions, I don't charge for a consultation. I'm happy to talk to anybody and see if what I do is able to help you out. I'd love the opportunity to.
Well, I appreciate that. And all the information that Stacey mentioned will be in the show notes. That is our chat for today's episode of Sip on This. I think I need something a little stronger than water, because that could be a difficult conversation to have. So I want to thank Stacey for enlightening us on the possibilities and really working through how she helps out people going through the process. I'd also like to thank you, my listeners, for sharing your time and your coffee with me, or your tea or your wine, or whatever it is that you happen to be drinking at the moment. If something I said resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss future conversations. I do plan on having other divorce professionals on. I have a financial planner scheduled. I have a step parenting and co-parenting coach scheduled. I have a divorce coach scheduled and a divorce mediator scheduled. So you really don't want to miss these conversations. So please subscribe to me here, wherever you are listening to me, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. And if you're pivoting due to a divorce and need to repurpose yourself at work, grow your business, or even change your careers, visit my website, coachingwithmissd.com. And if you need mortgage assistance of any kind, first-time home buyer, or if you're going through a divorce, you can find Stacey's contact information in the show notes. Until next time, keep sipping, keep growing, and remember to live your authentic life, your authentic self, your version, no one else's.